Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So proud to have you here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. And of course, on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse and their drive-through, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. Also here in the studios, you see all the Cuse stuff set up here. Cuse Home Sweet Home, the 315 Syracuse pillow, the 315 sign, and of course, this awesome smelling candle, all of that Cuse stuff, plus these candles all coming from Witty Wicks right on 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York. Make sure you head out there and deck out your house right and support your community and support Central and Upstate New York. Picture in picture with me here right now is somebody who's no stranger to the broadcast. We talked through his time at Syracuse. We spoke after that and his work toward the NFL and trying to put some things in there, which I'm very excited about. His career at Syracuse, the work that he did professionally for his career, and now as the head coach of the football team right out there in Maryland for Glen Burnie, as well as a teacher who is in his fourth year teaching at Glen Burnie. So that is Mr. Alec Lemon. So happy that we get to do this, and very spoiled to have my guy on the show. And we go tee it up right here on Wake Up Call. So how we doing, Alec?
I'm doing good. It looks good. I like the goatee.
Thank you, man. You know what? Yeah, because I don't think you saw it when you were here. So my goatee, when I got divorced, because I was with somebody who told me I wasn't allowed to have facial hair. And I don't really we live in a society where you cannot tell a woman what to do, but a woman tells a man, like, you got to shave. I was like, listen, I don't tell you how to color your hair and this and that. So I got the goatee. Everybody liked it except for her, which is totally fine. And I now every April, around like April, I want to say like April 26th time or something like that, I wish my goatee a happy anniversary, because it's the best relationship I've ever had.
There you go. That's awesome. It looks good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and yours too. I like your goatee to the beard. You're looking fresh as well. No, you take it off the top, you put it down here. I like that.
I gotta have something. I have hair up top, so I gotta keep the facial hair.
I feel that. Well, listen, man, it's great to have a reunion here, albeit picture in picture. So before we get into any topics, man, I want to say great to talk with you. Great to have your friendship, and so more than football, man. You know it from day one. I'm happy to have people like you in my life, and I appreciate you, and I love the fact that you and I have gotten to spend a lot of time off the air too. So thank you for that.
Of course, it means a lot as well.
So Alec Lemon here with me today. A lot of stuff to get into. We're going to unpack a bunch of different topics, but I want to start with Glen Burnie taking over as the head football coach there. Bring me into that life, going from player to coach, from the guy getting recruited to the guy trying to help guys get recruited. What's that transition been like?
It's been interesting, to say the least. It's been fun, a little stressful, with it now, our season being done and college kind of wrapping up their year. We're getting kids getting recruited, college coaches come in and out. So now I'm on the other side of things. But, my first year, coaching, it was, I was a position coach at my old high school at Arundel. Glen Burnie and Arundel are in the same county, same area. So growing up, I played against Glen Burnie. So I'm familiar with Glen Burnie. Started teaching here first. The head coaching job opened up, and I kind of wanted to take that step in the football world. My playing days were done with, so the closest thing I could get to was coaching. So I told my head coach, Coach Walsh, who's at Arundel still, that, I'm thinking about putting my name in the hat. I did. I interviewed, right after COVID hit, a couple of weeks after it hit and they shut us down. And, I must have said something right, because they picked me. So it's been a different world. I love this side of it now, coaching, helping the kids, instilling what I did. This past years, I call it my 2.5 years, because that COVID year, I don't count it. But we broke a lot of records this year. We had a 5-4 regular season winning record. First time since 2001, hosted our first ever playoff game, won our first ever playoff game in school history, lost in the second round of the playoffs. And this is just, really, I told our guys, it's really our second year all together. So seeing what they've done so quick and turned around, and the kids buying in, something special, and being in this area and knowing what Glen Burnie is about and what they can do. I'm excited that they get to do that and put that in place for everybody in the county.
And, and you brought in congratulations to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. I mean, getting a winning record, hosting your first ever playoff game, winning your first ever playoff game, to be a part of that history, to know that the first playoff game hosted by Glen Burnie, you were the coach, and the first playoff win, you were the coach. Just knowing that no matter what happens from here, you will always be etched in the history of Glen Burnie.
Yeah, that's what I told my kids, especially my seniors. Yeah, no, I know losing the second round was tough, but looking back and reflecting that everything that they've done here, it's just they just started the stepping stones for what we're trying to get to. And I know it's taken them a while to be able to sit down and reflect and like look at the year and everything they put together. It's really what they did. Everybody keeps saying congrats to me and we did this and that. It's really these kids. We get kids coming in and out of Glen Burnie, transferring or going to other schools or moving, and the kids that stayed, they deserve to win. They want to win. And I was just lucky to be a part of a group that had that winning culture and had that drive. And I was just a person that was kind of pointing them in a direction, and they did all the work. So I'm super excited for the kids and super excited to see what we have in the future.
And when you talk about like the guys that stayed and the guys that wanted to see it through, when you come in as a coach and you take over a program, how did you feel initially coming in as far as how the team responded, and how did you navigate the waters of, I'm a new face, and not only do I need them to listen to me, but you got to keep the unit together, you got to keep the team together, right? And you got to kind of find your guys that maybe be trying to go in the other direction, right? Because there's always going to be, from when there's a coaching change, there's going to be guys that don't want to listen, don't want to be there, don't want to have you as the leader. So they might try to have some defection and whatever. So how do you handle all of that?
It was tough, especially your first year. You get your seniors that are used to the old regime and how they ran it, and this is how it was done, with a new face and a younger face of trying to instill my culture. Obviously we butt heads a little bit. Being the head coach, you kind of say, hey, this is the way it's done, or we could part ways. A lot of kids left, not because of that, or just because the fact that Glen Burnie hadn't been winning in a while, and kids transferred to go to an easier spot that was winning instead of sticking it out and grinding it out and, actually feeling satisfied changing it around. It took a little bit, but with having these classes and my seniors that I had this year and last year, and the ones that are going to come up, they've stuck it out, and they kind of know the culture that we're running here, and they're getting people to buy in. And we're actually seeing some kids, coming back to the school that they're supposed to be at, whether they're transferring from private or they're moving in because they're hearing football is finally good here. It's nice to see. I kind of tried to, I didn't do it the best, but I tried to take the Marone tactic and, first coach, and you got to come in hard, and this is the way it's done. And, either you're with it or not. And, I told my guys from the beginning, like, we want to win, whether we're winning or losing. We want to have the right 11 guys on the field. I'll go 0-9, 0-10 with 20 guys that I trust, that I know are bought in. And oh, are we there?
Yep, I'm here. So you're saying you wanted to go with guys that are bought in?
Yeah, the ones that are bought in, and that stuck it out, instead of having 60 guys or saying, oh, this is how it's done, we're doing this way. I mean, half in, half out. This is a full commitment to, not to the coaches, but to themselves, and the players and their brothers.
And you said, going in with the Marone approach initially, like, you're either with us or you're out. And we know that when Marone took over for Greg Robinson, I think there was like 23 guys, something like that left. How did the Marone approach go?
I think it went well. The first year I kind of got lucky because we had the COVID spring year where we only had 4 games. So it was like a spring season. So the kids could get used to me. It wasn't a playoffs. The kids, we can run practice. We had games. They kind of figured.
Oh, we lost Alec here again for a second.
There we go.
Yep. So you're talking about the 4-game season?
Yeah. And then, the 4-game season, and then we could practice and play, and they could get a feel of how we're doing things. And then, going into the next year, it's really our first full year. So they kind of have under the belt of what the mantra that we're really trying to have.
So going through that and coming in strong, saying, you're either with us or, you may have to go. We see in the transfer portal, we're going to get to this, but in the transfer portal now, there's like no team anymore, right? It's just wherever I want to go, whatever I want to do. You talk about at the high school level at Glen Burnie, guys transferring out, going to another situation and trying to figure. I mean, how do you deal with this as a former student athlete, seeing that you as a high school coach are dealing with transfers that are leaving, transfer coming back? It's not just the transfer portal collegiately, which is already a mess and everything. What's it like being a high school coach with somebody going, yeah, I'm going to go play across town? I mean, it's
Yeah.
affecting kids that's insane to me.
Yeah, 100%. The transfer portal in college is, definitely something that, they threw out. They're probably going to reevaluate and all that stuff. And it's kind of coming down here as well. Kids are just, if they're not playing at one school, they just go to another school. As a high school coach, it's tough for me and my players because, the top schools are going for the kids in the transfer portal as opposed to recruiting, the 1-stars, the 2-stars down here, which, me coming out, I was a 2/3-star. So I probably wouldn't have been recruited. I would have been somewhere else because those big schools, they get the previous 5 stars, or if they're recruiting a high school player, it's a top 100 All-American guy. Kids that, that I've been coaching or a head coach, they got to go the hard way. They're going to the D2s, the D3s, and they got to grind it out because the big time schools aren't coming here. It's definitely new. It's a new era for sure than, you and I are used to. I think in the next couple of years, it will be, and I hope it'll be reevaluated how it goes, because it's kind of messing up the situation for the younger kids coming out of high school.
Here with Alec Lemon, former Syracuse wide receiver, as well as the current head coach of Glen Burnie's high school football team in Maryland. Alec, to get into the transfer portal, at the time that you and I are talking, there's multiple players that have jumped into it. Syracuse this season alone, between guys going to the NFL and aspiring to that, like a Sean Tucker, your starting running back, your starting left tackle, Matt Bergeron, your starting linebacker and quarterback of your defense, Michael Jones, your starting cornerback, Garrett Williams. Then on the other side of it, a guy transferring out, Deuce Chestnut. You're losing 3 wide receivers. Again, I think Syracuse the last 3 seasons has lost on average 3 to 4 receivers in these last three years after the season when the transfer portal opens up. So there's all of those pieces that are going on. Josh Huff from Beaverton, PA, never got to see him at running back. He's heading out. A couple offensive linemen are heading out as well. How do you assess, looking at your alma mater of Syracuse University, and under Dino Babers of these last 3 seasons? Last year, he led the ACC in transfers leaving the program, and that was above 4 teams that had new head coaches. Normally, you get a new head coach like you and I were talking about, that leads your transferring, right? Not in this case. Virginia Tech, Miami, and Duke had less transfers out of the program than Syracuse, who had their coach at that time for 6 seasons. So how do you assess looking at Syracuse and knowing that the transfer portal for them has already been live, guys transferring out before the last game? How do you assess it?
Yeah, it's discouraging as an alma mater, a former alumni, seeing the guys leave. Like I said earlier, it's, whether they're playing or not, or, things aren't good, it's giving these kids a choice just to go ahead and hop in somewhere else, instead of, sticking it out. We were playing in my years, my junior year when we were beat West Virginia Thursday night, we're 6-2 and thinking about winning the Big East, and then we drop our next 5-6 games and don't even make it to a bowl game. Some guys probably would have hopped ship, and went to another school that they knew they would have went to a bowl game. I commend the kids that are staying and they're gutting it out. Yeah. I think Babers has done a good job with what he's got. We just got to help keeping our kids on the program. That's how you win the games. It's discouraging. We're losing them. I just, the kids got to believe. They just got to stick it out, believe, because in my opinion, once you leave that, you're going to another team, you're starting from the bottom, starting right from the scratch. Doesn't matter what you did. Yeah. At least, especially as a receiver, you're seeing 3 leave, and it's not like, we don't throw the rock up there. As a receiver, I want the ball. It's just throw me the ball. We throw the ball. We had a great running back, but we still throw the ball. So I think they'll figure it out, and we'll get back up there.
when you see a guy like Courtney Jackson transfer out of Syracuse after this season, he came into this season arguably being the number one guy. Anthony Quealy, we barely saw him on the field ever. I was sitting here going, is he injured? Because he was one of the guys who was supposed to step up and fill in some piece, a piece of that offense. And then Dom Foster is a guy that I talked to in recruiting, was a little bit concerned about whether or not he was going to truly come to Syracuse. He was a wide receiver and a defensive back. He played both for Syracuse, and he's going to have, I think, 4 years of eligibility because this was his first year and they have that 4 games or less rule. So, I mean, when you hear about those guys, right, when you hear about Quealy, who looked like he was trending up, Courtney Jackson, who was supposed to be the guy, and then a guy like Dom Foster, who didn't even get his feet wet at Syracuse yet, as a former Syracuse wide receiver, specifically looking at the wide receiver position and the guys that are leaving, just how you view that when you look at guys that, Anthony Quealy in the middle of his career, Courtney Jackson, the veteran, and then Dom Foster, the newbie.
Yeah. My biggest thing is you got to give it time. You're like you said, our vets and our 1 year guys, you got to give it time. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to stick it out with your brothers and the team. And like I said earlier, once you're jumping ship, you're going somewhere else, you got to start all the way from scratch again. At least, when you were here, you kind of had a spot solidified. The coaches already know what you're about. You got that camaraderie with your brothers. And Syracuse is a place that, we gut things out. It might not look pretty, but, in the end, if we get the win, that's what mostly matters. And I just, my biggest thing is give it time. Everybody thinks of Syracuse of the past and all that. We're a great, athletics program from, boys soccer winning national championship, basketball being basketball and football turning around. It's a great place you want to be. Education's awesome. And, football, there's no place like the Carrier Dome. That's one thing that really sold me was that too.
Alec, when you look at the world of the transfer portal and you look at all of the me in society, more and more so now, hindsight 2020, would you have picked Syracuse again?
Yes, 100%. Going up there, being recruited from G-Rob, seeing the facilities, the education, the people that came from there. At the time, Syracuse was my highest offer, and that was my dream to play D1A. My senior year, I had a stellar senior year. I would have got more offers if I didn't commit, but I'm glad I did because of, the experience I got at Syracuse, what I learned, the people I've met, the connections. It's huge, not just with football, but after football. Still staying friends with you, staying friends with old classmates and former alumni that I've connected with work and employing. It's awesome. And then let alone getting Coach Marone, and then our coaching staff after that, Coach Hackett, Rob Moore, Tyrone Wheatley, all my offensive coaches are in the NFL. You can't get a better coaching staff than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was an incredible staff. Your time, like you said, recruited by Greg Robinson, but you ended up with Doug Marone as your head coach. How did you handle that? And did it ever make you waver on Syracuse in that sense? And then going off of that, you're a teenager realizing back then quickly how much of a business it truly is.
So it's a funny story. It was a nerve-wracking story. I don't know if many people know. So Coach Marone came in. G-Rob had 30 people committed. Marone came in and pulled everybody's scholarships. He went to everybody's house that committed to G-Rob. He pulled their scholarships like, hey, we're not going to recruit you. We're pulling it, blah, blah, blah. He comes down to my house. I didn't know of this. Comes to my house. He meets my parents. I meet him. We're talking. He met my high school coaches during the day. They watch film, all that. He sits down. He's like, hey, guys, just want to give you a heads up. I've been making these trips up and down all over the country, talking to committed players and, pulling everybody's scholarships. And I'm like, pulling everybody's scholarships. So I'm just like holding my breath. And he's like, but this is the first house that I can relax. We're going to keep Alec on board. And I was like, I thought I was going to pull my scholarships. So, so I was one of 3 guys that he kept, me, Andy Phillips, and Justin Pugh, who's still playing, that committed to G-Rob. He kept our scholarships. So seeing that, like how serious he took it and he really was evaluating how he wanted his first class to be. I was one of, I think we had 14 kids in our class, probably one of the lowest in college. but he knew the kids he wanted. He went out, recruited as fast as he could, and got the guys that he wanted. And it just shows the effort and the information that Coach Marone had. And thankfully, he still gave me that opportunity, because I think being at Syracuse, I was meant to be, and I was definitely had a great experience there.
Speaking here with Alec Lemon, played wide receiver at Syracuse. Now Glen, Burnie's head football coach for the high school in Maryland. Alec, when you hear Doug Marone say, "I've been going up and down, all over this country, just taking people's scholarships away, and this is the first house where I can relax," why do you think that was? And why do you think that you didn't become the next guy to have his scholarship pulled? What was the difference?
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I know my senior year, I had a stellar season that probably helped me. We all know I wasn't the fastest guy. I did the best that I could with my routes and catching. I don't know. It was something he watched films with my high school coaches before he met with us and talked to them. And, my high school coach will be 100% honest with you, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And I think he respected him for that. And, be able to meet my family and meet me. And I guess it was just something that showed on film. But I'm glad that he gave me that chance and he stuck with me.
Alec Lemon here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Your time that you were there the entire run of Doug Marone as head coach, 2009, 10, 11, and 12. Half of that, 50% of the time, you're going to a bowl game, the Pinstripe Bowl in 2010 and 2012. Bring me back to those games. I was at both of them. I got to go with my dad to the Kansas State game, and then I was front row in the press box for the West Virginia game, and God willing, I'll be back there for the third bout coming up this year on December 29th, when Syracuse will take on Minnesota. So bring me into those two games, because I obviously knew you, got to be around you, got to cover you and be a part of those, which was incredible. But your experience of the Pinstripe Bowl as Syracuse gets ready for an unprecedented third trip, the first team in the history of the Pinstripe Bowl to go there 3 times.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is just, top-notch, high-class, everything. Being in New York City, coming from, upstate New York, and the big lights. That's how everybody thinks of New York City, and be able to play in Yankee Stadium. That's a special venue from across the whole world, and be able to play a football game in there. Yeah. I think my first year as a sophomore, when we played there, it was just it had been 20-something years, a long drought that we had been to a bowl game. So we were just excited to be there. I'm just coming off of a broken hand and wrist injury. So in the cast and all that stuff. And, I think in the beginning, when we first got there, we were just super excited to be there, doing all the dinners, the festivities, getting all the gifts. And we're like, this is what it's all about. This is all the work that you put in. This is why you come and play college football. And then, as the week started leading up closer to the game, it's like, yeah, this is fun, but the reason we're here is to win the game. We did all this work. We're here now, then why not just win this thing? And, my man Marcus Sales had a crazy game. Ryan Nassib launching into him, DeLon Carter. It was awesome to be a part of, to be the first ever, game in the Yankee Stadium for the Pinstripe Bowl. It was something remarkable. Definitely going to remember that. And then my senior year, going into the senior year, that was our goal. We want to end with with a bowl game, win the bowl game. We finished with co-Big East champs. We go back to the Pinstripe Bowl with our beloved New York City fans, and was able to put on performance in front of them. It's funny, I was talking to somebody earlier. A lot of people don't know my senior year, when we went to the Pinstripe Bowl, it was after the first night we had a dinner with both teams. Yeah. And I actually ended up getting the stomach flu. So all throughout the week and those 3 days of practices and going to the dinners and doing games with West Virginia and all that stuff, I was in the hotel room for 3-4 days before the game. So I didn't get to experience it my senior year like I did my sophomore year, because I was under the weather, getting IVs 2-3 times a day and just laying in bed. So I didn't get to experience it the same way I did my sophomore year. Yeah. But it was still amazing to go out there and, play a West Virginia rival game that we thought we'd never see again since they moved conferences. And then we ended up playing them, and our defense stoned them, and playing in the snow game. As a receiver, it sucked because I knew I wasn't going to get the ball and we were going to run the ball. But, if I were like Tyson going off, that's all I cared about, getting the win and then our college career at Syracuse off the right way.
You said obviously I'm sorry that you had the flu the second time around. The festivities, when you got to enjoy them, like you said, Syracuse part of the first ever Pinstripe Bowl, first ever, game like that bowl game in Yankee Stadium, to have that history in a stadium that's known, like you said, all over the world, and a team that's known all over the world. What were the festivities like? What did you do? What were the gifts? Because bowls keep it close to the vest. They don't tell you what they give away. They don't tell you like where they're going in a lot of cases. So, statute of limitations is over. That was 2010. So where did you go? What did you do? What were the gifts?
So I know where we stayed at was right around the corner from Times Square. So we were out in Times Square a lot, which was nice. Obviously, as the game got closer, curfew got tighter and tighter. But we were able to go out and, shop around, go see the lights, go get food with players, meet up with other players and friends. Sophomore year, from what I remember, we always do like a dinner at the Yankee Stadium. They have a nice little banquet area. We do that. We did if I can remember, I think we did like a game night with Kansas State, like a joint thing, which was kind of cool, just to be with other guys outside of, football competitiveness.
Yeah.
Being able to do that. We did obviously the tour of Yankee Stadium, which was unbelievable. Got to see that. We did a boat ferry tour around the Statue of Liberty, which we did a dinner as just a team, which was pretty cool to do that. Our captains got to ring in they opened up the stocks. They did the bell for that. Got to see them do that. A lot of downtime, which was actually kind of fun. They gave us that because, usually you're on a schedule when you do these things, but giving us some downtime to go out and enjoy the festivities in New York City, they're one of the greatest cities in the world. The gifts we got headphones, got a whole bunch of new era stuff. They're big with their hats. Clothing, gear, left and right. That's everything you could ask for. Shoes, sweatshirt, shirts. We got our rings, got nice watches. I'm pretty sure we got like a hat with headphones in it, a jacket with headphones in it. It was actually pretty cool, some of the stuff. And now, that was back in 2010, 2011. So I can't even understand the stuff they're probably getting now.
Yeah. Probably gold-plated headphones, but
yeah, right. PS5s, all that.
I will say this though. I have a wall of fame in the studio here in the Cafe Kubal studios, and then in the office as well. I have a wall of fame. Is there something Alec Lemon related that you can send me for the wall of fame?
Yeah, I was talking to somebody, all my Syracuse stuff is taken either from my parents or my friends, but I could definitely check something out, see if I can send you up something.
Yeah, would love to put, because our bond over the years, would love to put something in the studio here, and it would be fun. I think, going off of the transfer portal, all these changes and whatnot, and NIL now, the story that you and I had is very pertinent to the times now. You and I, after you finished up at Syracuse, we went and got food. We went and got lunch. And so you were still like technically at Syracuse, but you had finished up your eligibility. And we went and got like paninis, and it was $9. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh man, I got it. And you were like, no, you can't. And I was like, no, it's fine. Like, get me next time, we're good. And I think you said like 3 times, you're like, no, you can't. You don't understand. It's a violation. It's like a booster thing. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, you're done playing. You're obviously not being recruited here. None of that makes it. We're friends, and we couldn't do it. And now it's like, there's no rules, no restrictions. You can be a booster. There's collectives now, which is like a bank account where you just funnel money in and let the school do whatever they want to it. So going back to our story of getting lunch together to where college football is today, how ironic is that juxtaposition? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. My first thought on it, I feel like it was bound to happen at some point. The players getting paid, or there's NLI deals. Definitely. It's funny, that's the true story, how that happened at good old Alamode. I probably could have had you pay for it. I was just knowing me, walking on eggshells. I didn't want to mess anything up, but looking back on it, like I told you earlier, I wish, now you could probably buy 18,000 subs with the rules now. It's crazy. It really has, with the transfer portal, with this, it's taking the game somewhere else. I love college football over the pros because of the kids play for the program and the school, and that's what they're playing for. They're playing try to get to the NFL or wherever they're trying to go, and they got to play with their heart because they weren't making money. Now they got getting some money in their pockets, some more than others. So it makes some decisions different for players. Now, one benefit I think behind that is it does keep the kids in school. You won't see a lot of the 3 and outs, but maybe some kids will stay with their NLI deals for 4 or 5 years so that they do get their degrees and then they have something set up for football. I think that is big. I wish we had this when I was playing. Not gonna lie, but I still think that when we were playing for the passion of the school and not just I'm here because I have a deal with Under Armour or whatever.
And maybe NIL helps teams keep players out of the transfer portal if you sign a good NIL deal, because obviously if you sign an NIL deal and you're on Syracuse's team and you get in the transfer portal, then that deal is dead. If you sign with a local car company in Syracuse, New York, and then you go off to Alabama, well, now you're not with that company anymore. So now you got to start your money all over again. So maybe, and it's, and kind of the other side of it, because it is used in recruiting. I am shocked. And I heard this a few months ago. I was listening to Sirius XM and one of the broadcasters said, did anybody really see it getting this bad this quickly? Like, who would have thought it would have gone this far? And I was in the car driving and I raised my hand and I was like, how did you not see this happening? There are no rules. There are no restrictions. Every state does whatever the heck they want to do. And I'm going to bring up something to you. I came up with, it was one of the first things, because I warned of all of this stuff in 2020 when it first came out during COVID. I like everything that I had said is here at our doorstep, if not worse. And one of the things I brought up as an example is that, okay, give me 3 receivers. I'm the quarterback. You're one of my receivers. And let's say, let's go to that 2012 team. So I got you to throw to, I got Jared West to throw to, and I got, let's say, Marcus Sales. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I got you 3. There's 2 minutes left. We're on the 19-yard line. We got an opportunity to score. We trust our offense. I get in the huddle. I'm calling a play from Hackett, and you come over to me and you tug on my jersey and you go, hey, if I get one more catch, I'm going to get $10,000. I'll give you 15% of that. Sales comes over to me and goes, hey, I'm going to give you 10%, but I'm going to sign this new deal and I think I could bring you on. And then I get another tug and another pull from Jared West. And Jared says to me, hey, man, I'm going to give you 20% of what I get. You all want the ball from me because you want to get in the end zone because every single one of you is incentivized to get into the end zone. Or maybe there's a car company the 3 of you are going for that says, based on how you perform in this game, one of you is going to get the deal. So now I'm there, I'm Ryan Nassib, and I'm trying to win this game. And I got 3 of my wide receivers offering me different deals. How did nobody see that coming?
Yeah. What I tell Ryan to do is run the ball.
And then none of y'all are going to like me after that. So.
Right. Yeah. You put in a great perspective. That's where we're at right now. They're not playing for the love of the game, playing for that check or the incentives afterwards. I think that with the transfer portal as well, they got to put a cap on it and put some type of restrictions or limitations on it. But until then, you're as a quarterback, you might get that tug like, hey, you see it in the NFL, they need one more catch to get it, which, get as much money as you can before they let you go. But, as a 19, 20-year-old, that's the last thing you should be thinking about because you got the world ahead of you. That you put it that way. I've never heard that example, but it does. It makes it tough. Definitely makes it tough.
Well, and to the point of NIL, you said you take advantage of it if you were in college. Should high school student athletes have that? Because my concern as a broadcaster is what that does for schools And for kids, and if a 14-year-old kid is like, I'm not doing any interviews unless I get $1,000. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm seeing it because I do a lot of work with high schools in central and upstate New York. And I love it. And we talk to everybody. We talk to football, bowling, crew, basketball, volleyball, field. It doesn't matter. Whatever sport it is, we welcome it. Swimming and whatnot, baseball, softball. So I'm concerned of what that's going to do to kids, because I'm a firm believer that the society we live in today, as messed up as it is, and you can agree or disagree as a coach, but we live in a society where kids that are teenagers and in their 20s now, where the kids that got a trophy for participating, they got a trophy for just being there, they got a trophy for, and nobody kept score. So if you're living in a society that told you stay at home and we'll give you a check, you don't have to work, you're going to get a participation trophy for just showing up if you never play. On top of that, if we start saying, okay, kids, you can have money when you're 14, 15 years old, are we creating a society that has a lack of responsibility, if any responsibility, no team, and a bunch of individualism?
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I definitely do. I see it here at the high school level and at other schools that, it is kind of shaping up and kind of teaching these kids that, it's about me, and what I could get, and not about what I could help other people with or help my team with. It's about how much I can get and then get out. So it's, hopefully our future is bright for all of us, but teaching these kids these life skills about that. And, you don't have to work as hard. You get a lot of money, stay at home. It's kind of setting these kids up for failure. And, as a PE teacher, as a teacher in general and a coach, this is the route that we try to go the opposite about, teach them about the life skills, and it's about team and about what you can do to help others, and not that me attitude. So I think as we have more and better educators, and the kids listen, that's what it's about. And, I'm a big competitor, and I think everything you should compete for, the best man or best woman should get the job or whatever. No participation trophies. I was a firm believer of that you need to earn it. And then when you do earn it and say you're the second person, I don't think the option of, oh, I didn't win, so I'm just going to go a different route. I'm the guy that you need to stick it out, and you need to grind it out and try to win this position or get the job or get the A for the assignment, not give up and go somewhere else because it's easier. Life is about challenges and obstacles, and it's how you get over them. And, that shapes you as a person.
Yeah. And I think in society now, everything's up to interpretation. I mean, I'm waiting for teachers to say 1 + 1 is whatever you want it to be. and that's not the case, here with Alec, Lemon, Syracuse Orange wide receiver alum, Glen Burnie, head coach here, and appreciate him so very much for being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Glen Burnie, high school football head coach in Maryland. And before I let you go, and we both brought it up, I think adversity builds character. And I don't think anybody could really get to, and I believe in God, I don't believe anybody can really get to where God wants you to be without adversity. Mm-hmm. I don't, if I wasn't married and divorced, I wouldn't have become a better version of myself. I wouldn't have stuck up for myself. If I wasn't treated like garbage and lied to by the last bosses I had in radio, I wouldn't have started my business when I started it at 26. We wouldn't be 10 years old right now. So I think, for me, I know for me, without adversity, without asking a girl out and her saying no, or not getting, the grade I wanted on a test, or, hearing no from this business. Some of the best, what do they say? There's that country song, some of the best gifts in life are unanswered prayers. So, for me, I would have learned nothing in Little League if I was handed a trophy when I wasn't playing that much. I would have learned. I say it right here. I put this out here. There's one trophy that is in my studio. There's one trophy in my studio when it comes to my playing days of basketball, and it's our championship trophy the year I was the MVP. The other trophies, I have a baseball participation trophy. I have a basketball participation plaque. I have a bunch of medals for participation. And I have another trophy that looks like this that was a participation one. And none of these are in my studio because I don't even know where they are. The only one in my studio says Pro League Champions
There we
because,
go.
you know what I mean? Because we won it. That's the year. That's the only time that I can ever say I was a champion. And in basketball. And then, you know, we do our fantasy football stuff and only the championship trophies are in my studio. I have 3 of them. And
There you go.
I got a quest for number 4, but this wouldn't mean anything. And it cost me a lot of money if everybody in my fantasy football league got a Lombardi just for being there. You know, could you imagine that? And that's the thing is it's like the NFL doesn't do that. The NBA doesn't do that. Major League Baseball, NHL, MLS, the World Cup. Nobody does this like, hey, you were in 15th place. Great job. Why don't you come stand up here with everybody else and pretend like you won something? Without adversity, I don't think anybody grows. I don't think anybody, you know, kind of breaks and puts themselves back together. I think in order to become the best version of yourself, you have to get bumped, get bruised, get broken so you can get to be who you want to be.
Yeah, 100%. First things first, I might have to get some of your advice. Help me with my fantasy team because God, you're going on 4-peat. I need to get 1. But no, I definitely agree. You know, everybody's got to face adversity. And like I said earlier, life is about challenges and obstacles and getting over that. You know, that's what makes you the person you are. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your friends, your family, whether they're going to help you, girlfriends, boyfriends, wives, husbands. You find who's really there for you when you hit that struggle. I know myself, you know, my biggest thing was my dream was to make it to NFL. You know, I made that dream come true when I was 23 years old. You know, I played for the Texans for a year and a half, finished practice squad with the Ravens. My second year, go to the CFL, get cut. And boom, that was when football was done. Football was done. I lived my lifetime dream. I did what I set out to do. Then I didn't know what to do for the next couple of years. And it was hard. You know, I hit that adversity where I could either, you know, my agent told me I didn't get drafted, you could get bitter or you could get better. You know, you're going to get hit with situations where you can cop out and get mad and just live with it. Or you could, you know, pull your pants up, you know, get your mind right and make a change. Cause, you know, I tell my students, you get one life, you know, and it's not my life. It's not yours. It's not her life. What you want, you got to grab that steering wheel and steer it the way you want it to go. And you got to be able to put your big boy pants on, face adversity. It's going to shape you how you are. And it's going to lead you to the better person that you want to be in life. And, you know, like you said, the NFL, NBA doesn't give out participation trophies. Why are we setting these kids up for that? And I definitely agree with that. But we'll figure it out. These kids are, you know, it's crazy how the world's shaping and society is. You know, us old folk will keep that mentality and keep pushing that competitiveness, and you know, these kids will get back to it.
Yeah, man. I think lack of personal responsibility and lack of that fight, you know, that's what we're missing in society. You know, I don't start a business by thinking like, oh, you know, I'm just going to open an LLC and the government's going to get me money and people are going to call me and want to be on the show and everybody's going to want to work with me. And when I open my door, they're going to literally put me on like a bed and they're going to carry me out and feed me grapes. That's not how life works. But I will say hard work, effort, and enthusiasm does create, hold on. It does create some awesome pieces to
There
it.
you
So
go.
there you go. You know, I can't even. So I gotta help you out here, man. With
I got one too. I got the Glen Burnie belt. We got a
Glen
belt.
Burnie belt. I like that.
There we go.
Tell me the story about the Glen Burnie belt.
So they award it to a teacher in the building. It's the belt that's you know, helped with students, you know, on the field, off the field, in the classrooms. It's really been a connection with the students or athletes, and what really is kind of tells and solidifies what Glen Burnie is all about. In this past year, you know, or past month, I won it. My principal gave it to me, you know, for what we did in the football season. and what we had done and sacrificed everything. So it was kind of cool to get that and that recognition. So it's not as cool as winning fantasy, but the belt it's pretty legit. It's pretty heavy too.
I was gonna say that's a nice that's a WWE belt right there.
It really is. I should have had it on my shoulder like The Rock used to, and
Yeah,
slap it.
that's a cool thing, and that can go
Yeah.
to now. Is it strictly sports, or it can go to anybody?
Anybody, yeah. Teachers win it, and it's a month-to-month thing. So I've been making sure the kids see that I have it this month. You know, I'm proud of that. So it stays right next to my computer in my office.
So you literally have to hand it off to the next person.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. You just got to keep winning it. That's what you
Right,
got.
exactly. There we go. I just got to keep winning it.
That should be something. You know what? That should be a thing to get these kids learning. Is if they win a trophy every month, they could lose that trophy. So they got to keep fighting to keep that.
That
trophy.
is true. Month-to-month basis.
What do they say? Win the week, right?
There we go.
So you got to win the week.
You got to win the day.
Yeah, win the day, win the hour, win the second.
There we go. Yeah.
So win the minute. So here with Alec Lemon. Alec, before I let you go, we're going to do two things. First thing is I want you to give some words to the Syracuse football team. Really weird that, we're in a space of our guys going to even play, right? I mean, Garrett Williams has been injured. I asked Dino about Sean Tucker, and he said, and either one of these answers is hard for a Syracuse fan. He said he's either played his last game or he will play his last game when it comes to the bowl game for Syracuse. So we may not see Sean Tucker. I wouldn't anticipate it based on just how, my thoughts and history of looking at this, bowl season and whatnot. But maybe no Michael Jones, no Garrett Williams, no Sean Tucker, Deuce Chestnut's gone. It's so weird that this team fought to get to a bowl game, and now this bowl game is going to be like a shell of the team that we knew. So what are your words to the Syracuse football team as an alum, and your words to the fans about coming out to the Pinstripe Bowl?
Yeah, no, definitely. My biggest thing to the fans is, stay supportive. Stay supportive. You guys are there for my 4 years. Had some up and down years, but you guys were there loud and proud. Stay supportive. The guys that we feel the guys that we put on the field is going to fight for, that blue and orange. And that's what we're truly about. I feel like Syracuse, the community, the program, it's about, the grit that we have. And, when people doubt us on that field, we'll go out there and show them what we're really all about. So stay supportive, have their back. That's always helped and driven every athlete at that school. We don't say we bleed orange for no reason. For the guys, the program, as a former, alumni, be proud of wearing that jersey, because there's so many other kids and players that would be loved to wearing that jersey. I hear a lot of kids and my players now that want to go to Syracuse. You have the biggest opportunity to play in a bowl game where you're literally the only team playing that time of that day. So all eyes are on you, and it's a special moment. You got to embrace it. That was what you fight for. Like you said, you come out to play a bowl game. Now finish the job that you started. We were struggling the years before I got there, and we went to 2, and it's the best feeling ever. And be able to go out there, go with your brothers, and those 4 years as a senior, you've been through the ups and downs in that cold winter. We know about Syracuse, and those long summers running those 110s with Coach Luther and Coach Hicks. Just be proud of it. Go out there, play your hardest. I will be watching. I'll be supporting. And I know how Syracuse plays, and I know that we'll get the job done.
Syracuse alumni have programs, high school programs around the country. Have they reached out? Have you reached out? Is there a bridge built or trying to be built between Glen Burnie and Syracuse?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a huge bridge built through just the alumni. Coach Hicks reaching out to his former players. Coach Maddox, that's been on staff. Huge guy that I talk to all the time. Players that I hear of, players that I think that should be up there. I'm promoting Syracuse to everybody I see. Every person I see, I'm promoting Syracuse. So we've talked about players here, talked about players in the county. We've had multiple meetings in DC with former alumni, because there's a lot of people in the DC, Maryland area, and we get together, have dinner, and do stuff like that. And it's awesome to see, because like I said, going to Syracuse, it's not just the program there and on campus, it's the networking and everybody outside of Syracuse, all over the country. So I think that they've definitely done a better job with supporting the alumni and getting the alumni together now with, Coach Maddox and Coach Hicks. So it's awesome. And hopefully I could get some Glen Burnie guys up there so they rock number 15 in honor of me.
Good stuff coming from Alec Lemon. I love it. Last thing we're going to do, rapid fire. We're going to throw each other questions about literally anything. It's the Christmas and holiday season. So I'm going to get 3. You're going to get 3 Christmas holiday related questions. You can ask me the first one.
Favorite Christmas movie?
Home Alone and Home Alone 2. They're like neck and neck, but love Rudolph, the original Rudolph claymation with him in the Island of the Misfit Toys. Love the Santa Claus trilogy with Tim Allen, and Elf. Love Elf with Will Ferrell. So, but Home Alone that's the top of the top.
Okay. There we go.
I think one of the first recorders I had was a Talk Boy. So,
okay,
on the movie, like the original. My first. Oh well, I want to stay with that. Favorite Christmas movie for you?
I have to go Christmas Vacation. Vacation, yeah, classic. Christmas Vacation. Every year we watch it with my family. As much as we've seen it and know the words, we sit down and we'll watch it during Christmas Eve. And number 2, I'd probably say Santa Claus, either 1 or 2. Good old Tim Allen. Can't beat that.
No, you can't. You can't beat Tim Allen, and you can't beat. Everybody's got somebody in their family that tries to plug in just one more thing to that outlet.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Question number 2. Christmas related. Trying to think. Do you still make a Christmas list?
I do. My parents every year are like, what do you want? My dad just asked me again, like, what do you want for Christmas? And so I do believe in the spirit of Saint Nick. I do believe there's something to Santa Claus. I believe that there's a spirit of things that can happen that you can't really explain. And I think the spirit of Christmas should be alive in everybody's hearts. And I would love for it to be there all year round, because I think people forget that it's someone's birthday, and some people just want gifts. And yet, I make sure when I wake up in the morning on Christmas morning, get down on my knees, I wish Jesus a happy birthday. And then, you go sit under the tree. Cause that's, I don't know anybody else on his birthday. I don't know any other man or woman on their birthday that was like, I don't want gifts, but give them to everybody else. So,
that's awesome.
Christmas is a beautiful thing, but we got to remember keeping Christ in Christmas. If you write Xmas to me, I will not respond.
So true.
And if I'm going to pull into like a Christmas tree farm and it says Xmas trees, I pull right out. So
going to a different one.
Heading out to another one. Okay. Favorite, like, Christmas, when you're sitting down and you got like a hot cup of something for Christmas, what is it eggnog? Is it hot cocoa? Like, what do you have? And what is your Christmas cookie?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd have to go hot chocolate with some marshmallows, the mini marshmallows in there.
Okay.
And cookies. I don't know. These kids have been giving me a lot of cookies lately. I had some like banana cookie, which is good. I'm a big red velvet guy. Snickerdoodles, salted caramel cookies. It's crazy. I literally have some stuff right next to my bed. Just kids bring. That's one of the good thing about being a teacher. They bring the gifts. Really. I mean, I'm a big cookie guy. I'd probably go salted caramel. I'm a big caramel guy.
All right. I like that. There's something coming up that I know about with one of the companies I work with for the future. I can't say it, but that's on the right lines of good stuff coming up. What's your last one?
Awesome. My last one. Do you have any like every year Christmas traditions that you do maybe yourself or with your family?
So my mom and I just did this. So my mom and my dad are both here, and my mom and I, we decorate the tree. So my mom comes over and we decorate my tree. So that's something we do. My dad and I do a spin on the 7 fishes for being Italian, and we do 4, and we do like a seafood thing. So my dad and I have, on Christmas Eve, we have scallops, shrimp, lobster tail, and calamari. People say calamari, it's calamad, but yeah, we have all that. And so we do that. And what the cool thing is that on Christmas Eve, we used to go to my grandparents on my dad's side, and now I spend Christmas Eve with my dad. So it's still like that side of the family. And
Yeah.
then Christmas Day, I used to go to my G mama's house, spend it with my mom's family. And
Mm,
my mom lives in that house, redid it all inside, and we still do that. So as
that's
much as
awesome.
things have changed, they've stayed the same,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
awesome.
really, really cool. And yeah, man, I love being around. I love what I love is the three Christmases I have every year, which is Christmas with dad, Christmas, me and my dog in the morning when it's just us, and then
Mm,
Christmas with my mom.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, and I don't have to buy a gift for any lady this
There
Christmas.
you go. There you go.
So, so that might be like another thing in my
There
stocking.
you go. Treat yourself.
Yeah, something else from my dog. I don't know if I should say this on the show, but I'm going to say it because my comedy is a big part of my life. I have a 90-day rule for dating now, like how businesses do.
Okay.
So I have a 90-day rule because women and men show you they're crazy in the rule of three. Either 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, a person will
Mhm.
show you if they're crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a 90-day rule of if I'm dating somebody, you got a 90-day win. Like if I meet you now, you're not getting a Christmas gift, you're not getting a Valentine's gift, we're not doing anything crazy on New Year's because I don't know if after these 90 days you're gonna make the cut and get a full-time job. So, so that's where I'm at. So I was like, the most she'll get is maybe a cookie or two. But
There we go.
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a hopeful romantic. I want to treat the right woman the right way. I have just dated enough crazy to know that you keep a lot of those tools in your toolbox before you go
There
showing
you
everybody
go.
what you got.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
My last question for you is, okay, how about this? We're going to go off of that. If I were to go on a date around Christmas time, I want you to play matchmaker. You tell me a good date to do during Christmas.
Oh, on the East Coast, like in my like our area, whatever, a date.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you can never go wrong. Go ice skating. You can always go ice skating if you're a good ice skater. Now, if you're not a good ice skater, it could still work in your favor
Yeah.
because you're gonna need help,
You
right?
got to
They could
hold on.
teach you.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to hold on. In my area, I think depending how far you are in this 90 days and how far you want to go, you could. I've thought about it. It's kind of a little more than just a date. Taking a train to the city, right? Going to New York City and doing the day in the city. Who doesn't want to be in New York City around Christmas time?
Right.
You know, whether you go shopping, whether you see the tree or whatever, and you come back. Now, this has got to be after your 90 days, of course, because you got to find if they're crazy, not be on the train. I think that's a big one. I'm trying to think. You can always see a tree lighting. You know, you
Yeah.
go do that stuff, or you just keep it classy. Go see a Syracuse basketball game.
There you go. So see a lot of good ideas, a lot of good things
Exactly.
here. I like that you worked in my 90-day rule. I appreciate
There you go.
it. Can't have a crazy girl on it. I did that one time. Crazy girl on it. I was in Penn Station, and I kid you not. It's funny. My microphone just moved away from me. Like God was like, "Don't tell the story. Don't do it." But yeah, she sat in the middle of Penn Station, screaming, going la 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 with her hands over her ears. And I was like, well, you look like most people in New York City right now. But like I was in the middle and there's like 5 ways to go. And I was like, I don't know what train I have to get on. So can you be uncrazy enough to just point me? And she's like, la la la, sitting on the ground. There's like hepatitis everywhere. And I was like, just point me. And I remember in the midst of the crazy, she was just, I think she did like, it was like she directed me in the right way to
There you
go.
go. I'm going
And
that way.
that whole ride home, I was like, man, if I didn't have to go get my suitcase. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I've had better trips in New York. I've had some fun. I mean, I've been to the tree and I've been like, by Rockefeller and all that and
Yeah.
walked around and whatnot. I can't say that I've had like the Hallmark movie of it,
Yeah.
but the lure of going there definitely is something special.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
So for Alec Lemon, myself, Dan Tortora, and for the 90-day rule, this has been Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Alec, as always, I appreciate you. Syracuse wide receiver, alum, Glen, Burnie high school head football coach, and the keeper of the belt. Appreciate you, man. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, and thank you for your friendship.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Merry Christmas. And hey, it's been good. We're going to keep the years going.